getting to the end of the afternoon, and night's falling. When you think back to when you were a kid, and you think back to who you idolized, when you started out young, we idolized superheroes. Batman, Superman, G.I. Joe. Not that he's real, but it's the thought process of whatever game you played, whatever show you watched, whatever thing that you did, you aspired to be like them. You wanted to be great. You wanted to be the hero. When I was growing up, I idolized the New York Mets. And I know where I am. Thank you, Chicago Cubs, finally. Give it up for the Cubs. All right. But I idolized the New York Mets. And I got to meet Tug McGraw. And back in '69, I was 8 years old. To meet a guy who was a World Series victor meant the world to me. He was my hero. And I look around now, and I see just about anybody who has access to YouTube can be considered a hero. And I think we've diluted what it means to be a hero. Now, having said that, one of the things, again, going back to your superhero days and growing up, when you become a law enforcement officer, somewhere in the back of your head, you're thinking, I want to be that cop. I want to be the one to beat the firemen into the building and pull out armloads of babies before the building goes up, right? You want to be the one that when the bad guy is on the rampage, that you're the first one there, and you arrive, and you get your gun up, boom, boom, and you put him down, whew, blow it off, put it in your holster, catch you later. No reports, no nothing, right? We all aspire to this. Good Lord, that ain't real, but the premise behind it is that we want this greatness. And what I want to talk to you about today is the flip side of it. It's the side that we don't see. One of the things that I do is I work for Armor Express, and I am the Saves Program Manager. And what I do is for officers who are saved by their vest in the line of duty, whether it be a gunshot, a knife, a blunt instrument, a vehicle accident, where the vest has been instrumental in saving their lives, I take care of them and their family. Here's the thing about being a hero. One, I hate that word. I grew up in Brooklyn. For me, a hero was a sandwich, not a sub. It was just a nice, healthy sandwich. And that's the way I always looked at it. And when August 5th, 2012 rolled around, and I got to the temple, nowhere in my psyche did I believe, I'm here, I'm going to save the day. My only thought was, I hope people aren't dying, and I want to get there as fast as possible. But when the smoke cleared, literally, in my case, and I turned into a human sprinkler, I sat in ICU, and my wife was there, and my kid brother was there, my brother-in-law was there. And I was hooked up to every machine imaginable. And I thought, if this is being a hero, you could have it. Because my life, like the multitude of officers that I've spoken to who have been shot in the line of duty, who have been injured in the line of duty, doing great things, when I ask them, what is it that you want more than anything else? And the answer, down to the person, is simply, I want my old life back. Now, you think if you get these accolades, if you get these awards, if you are looked at by other law enforcement officers, that whatever you accomplish is this great thing. Why would you not want it? And the answer really comes down to two different things. One, guilt. In my case, it was survivor's guilt. While I was looked at for, and I will still say this, all I did was be able to catch a lot of bullets. I didn't leap off any buildings. I just caught a lot of bullets, and from early on, I just learned that giving up really wasn't an option. I listened to that story about running and calling cadence on Christmas morning, and good Lord, I just thought of my dad, like, Christmas is over, get to work, and you'd be out shoveling or doing whatever. But it's those things that help me through this. And the guilt now of being looked at in anything other than what was me only made me look at the people whose families were now devastated. The president of the temple, the Sikh temple, was a man named Mr. Kalika, and I look at him as a hero. Because when the shooter came in, he did everything within his power. He had no military experience, he had no law enforcement experience. But what he had was the heart of a warrior, and he grabbed the shooter and he did everything within his power, lost his fingernails while he held on with his last dying breath to prepare and hope that somehow we would get there, and we did. That, to me, was the ultimate hero. No accolades were needed for him. He did what he did because it was right. And when I look at his picture, I can only feel sadness that I'm still here. And this man who did everything within his power to save his group of people is no longer with us. It's hard. Besides the guilt of still being here, what has amazed me in the law enforcement community, and I will be extremely honest here, has saddened me to my core, is listening to stories from other officers who have been involved in life and death scenarios, and people on their department give them crap because they're getting more awards. And I know what you're thinking, that's not true. And I will gladly tell you a number of examples where I have, as the saves manager, given these individuals my number and said, you call me if you have any issues whatsoever. And I get calls. Murph, I can't get over this. I go to work and these guys are still breaking my shoes over, oh, I guess you're going to get another award. And they don't understand, one, nobody asked for it. The morning of August 5th, 2012, I would have rather been in my office, not getting my butt shot off. So it's not a choice. As I've always said, we don't get to pick bad stuff. Bad stuff picks us. So, well, actually there's two guys named Joe in particular, who both have reached almost a breaking point in their law enforcement careers because they can't conceptualize why people who they've worked with, people who they've protected, gone into battle with, are now turning around and saying to them, why are you getting an award and I'm not? It's kind of a sad state of affairs when we've gotten so far away from doing the right thing for the right reason that we have officers who find this acceptable in any way, shape, or form. One of the people that I've talked to said to me, all I wanted was to get there, take the call, and leave, and this happened. And for those of you who have done this before, how many people been to a hang-up 911 call? Right? We all have, yeah? And it turned into a guy trying to kill his parents. And when Joe got there, the guy was wrapping the telephone cord around his own mom's neck and was scalping her when Joe got there. And he gets into a firefight with this guy right across the street from the school where both his wife teaches and both his kids are in. Now think about that. During the middle of this firefight, rounds are skipping across the parking lot, and Joe is shooting back, but he's also thinking ahead, I gotta protect my family, and calls a lockdown on the school. This is the same person who is catching grief from other people around him. And as Joe and I have commiserated, one of the things that's never seen, and when I talk about the reluctant hero, you're standing in front and people hand you an award and they shake your hand and they leave. But when they leave, you're still there. And you feel extremely alone. And for 99.9% of us, this is all foreign territory. People shoving mics in your face, cameras in your face, asking you to do things they would have never asked you to do if it was the day before the incident. But most of all, the thing that I want to impress upon you today is your family. Because while the officer is always thrown to the forefront and always the one in the limelight, behind that officer is a family. I remember distinctly laying next to the car bleeding, waiting for my guys to come get me. And I was supposed to go on my honeymoon with my wife in 8 days from this incident. And all I can remember thinking in my head is, man, is she gonna be pissed. And the truth of the matter was quite contrary. If it wasn't for my wife, Ann, I wouldn't be here. And my wife, Ann, taught me a multitude of things that up until this point now, I've been on the department 20 years there, year in Jefferson, 5 at the UN, and then 5 in the Marines. In all that time, I never really grasped the fact that it wasn't just me. I was in charge of the SWAT team. I was in charge of the evidence team. I ran the drug unit. I did all these things that I always thought I'm doing by myself. When in fact, the accolades, the lights always should have been on my family who was there to support me. Now, someone brought up earlier the divorce rate and the alcoholic rate, and part of that comes from the simple fact that we are horrible communicators with the ones we love. We just are. And the excuse we love to feed them is, I don't want to trouble you with what's going on at work. And in reality, that's the farthest thing from the truth. Because if you think that you do these things and they don't know, if you think you have a bad day at work, but I can leave it there and come home, and they don't know, you're fooling yourself. Your family is your lifeline. Sometimes literally, sometimes figuratively. And for the longest time, like I said, I didn't take any of that into account. I was too proud. I was too type A. I was lieutenant. But I don't need to tell you. But funny thing happened. After I get lit up like a Christmas tree, I had both my hands in casts all the way to the tips. I still got to go to the bathroom. but I can't hold paper. You want to talk about being humbled. You want to talk about being brought down to a level that I always should have been, that it was a partnership that needed to be reinforced every day, and I forgot it till I needed it. And when you're a 50-year-old man banging your cast on the wall saying, I'm done going to the bathroom, so your loved one could come in and take care of you, that, ladies and gentlemen, is a humbling experience. It's something we don't account for. It's something that we don't appreciate on a day-to-day basis. Our families are what we should constantly think about and strive for. In the SAVES program, I had an officer who was involved in an incident tell me, I want to put in for this other position, but I'm worried because they want me to fill out on the application whether I've received psychiatric treatment. Well, having been an officer-involved shooting, what's one of the things they always make you do? Go see a shrink, right? But the officer was afraid that if he put that down, that they would exclude him from getting that position. And I simply asked this question. And I want you to think about this more than anything else when you, not more than any other speaker, but everybody else on the stage right this second, which is me. I just want you to think about this one question. What's important now? And always in that top 2, 3 needs to be your family. Getting a position would be a great thing, great for your career. It's something that you wanted to do, but your family will be there your whole life. Your children will be there your whole life. So really, what is the most important thing? Is taking care of yourself and taking care of your family. For administration here, I want to leave you with one last thing. Do you have a program in place that does 2 things? One, God forbid something happens to one of your officers, but if it does, who's making notification and who are you going to assign to be with that family? And you need to, because sometimes the amount of stuff that comes at them can be simply overwhelming. And by the way, for you chiefs out there who say, I'll do it myself, psst, what makes you think they like you? Keep that in mind, because if they don't, you may not have the rapport you want. And 2, do not accept I'm fine for an answer. I can't tell you how many times I've been tapped on the back. How you feeling? I'm fine. And go home and basically cry because I'm not. My hand hurts, my throat hurts, my head hurts. I'm stuck and I'm by myself. And it would be nice to have someone to turn to, and that someone is always my wife. Don't lose sight of those things for me, please. More than anything, take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your communities. The job you do is second to none. Say it again, second to none. Godspeed, God bless you.